Hello and welcome to Three Questions with. This morning I got my friend Bobbie with us from the OpenDoor Sales and Coaching and Training. Good morning, Bobbie. How you doing today?
Fine, thank you. Nice to see you, Kevin.
So Bobbie, I asked you to come on today because I want to talk about your five-step OpenDoor consultative sales process. Can you walk me through the 5 steps, please?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've had multiple years of formal sales training and other kinds of coaching programs, and I've sort of looked at the common thread throughout and simplified things to 5 steps. Rapport and research, needs and challenges, budget decision, propose and close, and post-sell upsell. Consultative selling is very relationship focused. So in the beginning, what I always say to people is, do your research, know who you're speaking with, go on the company's website, look at the press releases, and know the person you're calling. Because the first thing you want to do is not have the very same message for everyone, but get to know that person so you can open up a conversation. Because then you'll be able to more easily do a couple of things, shift into the next stage, which is needs and challenges, but also ask those tough questions later on about budget and decision. So after that, you're going to delve into needs and challenges, and you're going to do it very thoroughly. Not only the person you're talking to, what's their perspective on the needs, but what about everyone else in the company? Even those who are not going to weigh in on the decision, who may be impacted by it, you want to try to reach out to them too. And once you have a real solid understanding of all of that, you want to be talking about budget. Is there a budget? Can you find a budget if your solution is compelling enough? And the person you're talking to, will there be others who will help that person make a decision? How will finance be involved? Is there a signatory process that you need to be aware of? Because sometimes you may think it's going to be 2 weeks, but it's 2 months because of the signatory process. So after you've got all of that, then you're prepared to write a proposal or to offer a solution. And by that time, it should be compelling. I suggest that a proposal, if you go to a proposal, some industries are different, that you start with an executive summary and you recap the needs and challenges that you've found before you offer your solution. And then once you close that business, post-sell, upsell is really that transition and setting the stage for growing the business. In some companies, the salesperson may continue to hold an account that might go to account management or customer success. So you want to be preparing for that throughout the conversation so you can introduce your client to their team, and maybe you incorporate that throughout the sales process, and have an internal and an external kickoff meeting so everyone's clear on the parameters of what you've offered, because you want to be careful of any scope creep or assumptions on the part of your client that, oh, I thought this included that. So you make sure to have an internal and kickoff meeting before you have a broad meeting with the new client. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Each stage really builds upon the next. I think that's the most important thing to consider, is to do them in order. Sometimes they're fluid, but it's a sequence.
I like what you said, especially the executive summary part, because sometimes the person who has to sign off on this may not even be aware of the situation. It's not in their department. They didn't realize this was a challenge. So making
Yeah,
sure that the next person, because as my experience as CFO of the bank, money,
yeah,
money, money, Bobbie. Okay,
yep,
here's my budget. Where are we going to spend it? So I have to understand the needs of various areas before I can make that decision. So if you don't do
yeah.
a job explaining to me why, my limited budget should go to Bobbie's department, it could cost you the transaction. You must see that all the time.
I have seen it, and we've all learned the hard way when you get caught up short with not having invited finance to the table. You can't always get them, that's for sure, but you raise a really good point. The proposal should be standalone. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but you don't always have that luxury of having a face-to-face or a little bit of conversation with absolutely everyone that will be impacted. So when someone sees that proposal, they should be able to walk through the process that you've gone through. So you make a great point there. It's very important.
Bobbie, I don't know if I'm unique. My mom always told me I was special, chuckle, chuckle. But I'm all about relationships, Bobbie. You know, we can't
Yeah,
get anywhere until we get there. Am I
yeah,
comfortable with Bobbie? Do I trust Bobbie? Is Bobbie putting my best needs ahead of her own?
yeah.
That's important, right?
It's very important, and which is why it's the very first stage, because you need to build that trust. You're not looking for a buddy or a friend. This is a business relationship, but it's one that you want to lay the lay the groundwork for a very long time. And to reiterate too, it is sometimes you have to have hard questions. And sometimes the conversation, the result might be that this opportunity isn't for right now. It might make sense to circle back in 6 months because, as much as they like the solution you might be discussing, there literally is no way to build it into the budget this year. So then you can have a different conversation around, well, let's build a budget quote for you so that we can get that earmarked at another time. And you need to have a good relationship to be able to have that open, honest communication. And you want your prospect to feel comfortable sharing information with you and let them know, hey, a no is okay. This
Right.
is all about, is
Yeah.
this a fit or not? And no harm done. But you want to make sure, regardless of where it goes, you ask for a referral. That's important too with the consultative sell.
You know, Bobbie, I know I've been in situations where someone will come in when I was working at the bank and suggest a solution to me. And often they would get upset because I would go, all right, Bobbie, let's pause for a minute. Let's talk about the cost. Because I know I work in a small bank and I've had people come in, oh, the bank down the street bought this. I'm like, respectfully, Bobbie, they're 25 times the size of my bank. So they have a little
Yeah,
bit of deeper pocket. And like, well, I'm like, Bobbie, I just want to be respectful to you. You know, if I
yeah.
know I can't afford it, I don't want you to spend hours putting together a proposal, pitching the idea for me to go, it's way above my budget. So finding that is important before you think, hey, this is going great, and then you hit that hard wall, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's a great question because you have to be open about money, I feel. At least be prepared to share ranges and say, well, you can certainly reasonably say it's really hard for me to know exactly when we haven't really dug into your needs, because you do want to make sure that you're presenting pricing against the backdrop of the value you can bring. However, it's most appropriate to say, well, it ranges widely. It could be a $5,000 solution. It can be a $25,000 solution, and be as tight with that budget frame as you can. But I don't feel it inspires trust when someone hedges, when someone asks you a direct question and it's early in the game. It's a signal there are budgetary concerns. So you probably do want to make sure to qualify that right away. It may not be a near-term solution, but something further out, or they just may not be able to afford your service.
And that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they learn more, my friend?
Oh, well, my website is opendoorselling.com, just like it sounds. And there's a way to reach me via LinkedIn or email right through that website. There's a contact me page on the website. And it's Bobbie, Bobbie, at opendoorselling.com.
Bobbie, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to call into the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you, Kevin. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.